Day number 5 of Chicago Bears training camp is in the books, and we have a lot to talk about, including a potential trade that could be happening relatively soon. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears training camp update video, which I'll be doing every single day this year during training camps. If you guys want all the latest updates on what's happening in Bears training camp, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. Today, I'm actually on vacation in Puerto Rico. You can see in the background, that's my hotel room. So the background is a little bit different. I'm recording this late at night. I'm going to try to be a little bit softer while speaking because people next to me are probably sleeping. It's like 11 p.m. right now. I was busy basically all day, so I hope you guys can understand me posting this a little bit later, but I still wanted to post this for you guys even while on vacation because there's a lot of stuff happening at Bears training camp basically every single day. So let's get into the video. Okay, what happened in training camp today? It was a closed practice, so it was only open to select members of the media, so I don't have like a crazy amount of reports because these media members can only tweet, they can only report so much, and they can't live tweet, so you can't really get like a play-by-play of what's happening. But I do have a lot of reports to discuss, and the first thing I want to discuss, guys, is that second-year tackle Teven Jenkins is reportedly on the trade block. Okay, according to Ian Rappaport, the Bears have received calls and have held trade talks centered around OT Teven Jenkins. The former second-round pick has drawn interest based on his potential, a situation to watch. Wow, guys. Okay, when I first heard this news, I was pretty disappointed and a little bit shocked, to be honest. I knew that something was probably up because he hasn't practiced in 4 days. So you could tell if it wasn't an injury that they're reporting, something was happening behind the scenes. Okay, and also David Kaplan reported a few days ago that him and new offensive line coach Chris Morgan did not see eye to eye over the offseason. So a lot of people questioned that report, but it seems like, he might have been right? Because Teven Jenkins is only 1 year removed from being a potential first-round pick in last year's draft class. Okay, a lot of people are high on him nationwide. His college tape was amazing. The intangibles on paper looked really good. I mean, I was super excited when the Chicago Bears drafted Teven Jenkins. He was one of my draft crushes in last year's draft, and I thought he had a lot of potential going forward with the Chicago Bears because he only had one season, his rookie season, in which he got injured. Yeah, but he healed from that injury. He seems fully healthy now. I thought he was going to be a solid contributor on the Bears offensive line going into the season because I thought that Ryan Poles would like him, okay? Because this is like one of the only guys that showed fight last year on the football field, but it seems like Ryan Poles and the coaching staff do not see any place for him on the Chicago Bears offensive line going forward, and that's why they're looking to trade him. And the situation really sucks, guys, because we traded up to get him in the second round. Okay, we gave up our third-round pick from last year, and yeah, Ryan Poles wasn't the one that made this pick, so he has no reason to care about what it took to get this player, and that's why he might be more willing to trade him. But I still feel like it might be a mistake, guys, to give up on a player this talented this early. Okay, I totally get though that if they don't see eye to eye, if the coaching staff feels like he's not fully committed to the team, then yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense to trade him. Honestly, I'm hoping we still find a way to resolve the situation because I'm a big Teven Jenkins fan. I still think he has a lot of potential in this league going forward. It's way too early in year 2 to give up on a player like this, but seems like they don't think he's a fit on this roster, and what can I say beyond that? Okay, if the Bears do trade him, we're probably not going to get anything more than like a 4th, 5th round pick max, right? Because this is a player that was a second-round pick, not a first-rounder, okay? A second-round pick that had an injury last year. His value is at an all-time low right now, guys. That's also why I don't want to trade him because we're not going to get that much, right? But I'll try to trust the process. I'll try to trust Ryan Poles, and hopefully he has a plan in place to, get the Chicago Bears offensive line to where it needs to be because right now we're banking on a lot going right for the Chicago Bears offensive line to be good going forward. So we'll see what happens with that situation going forward. If we do trade Teven Jenkins, I'll be sure to make a separate video on that trade, what we got, what I think it means for the Bears moving forward. But right now, it seems like Teven Jenkins will no longer be a part of the Chicago Bears, which really does suck. So putting that aside, guys, let's talk about what happened in Chicago Bears practice today. The practice that was closed to the public. Keep in mind, it was also non-padded too. Okay, pads were supposed to go on today, according to Adam Hogue, but they didn't. They're going on tomorrow now officially. So tomorrow is a public practice, 90 minutes, fully padded. It should be a lot of fun to go to if you're going to practice, which if you are, keep me updated on Twitter because I'm not going to be there obviously. But let's talk about practice today. And, according to all the reporters, the defense dominated the day, okay? They definitely had the much better day over the Chicago Bears offense. So according to Courtney Cronin, she said that Bears ended practice with a 2-minute drill. That was a low light for the offense. Justin Fields had pressure constantly in his face. Really strong day for Al-Quadin Muhammad, who had multiple sacks, and the execution down to the very last snap where the O tried to spike the ball to set up the final play was not great. Miscues, simple mistakes, and execution was not something offensive coordinator Luke Getsy is going to be pleased with after harping on similar things the other day. And then also according to Adam Johns, he said that I would consider today a win for the Chicago Bears defense. If they were allowed to hit him, I think that Al-Quadin Muhammad, Travis Gibson, Dominic Robinson, and Kyrie's Tonga all would have had sacks or shared them on Justin Fields. So the first part of this is that good for the defense. Okay, the Chicago Bears defense, in my opinion, could be a top 12 unit this year because of the talent that they have and the coach that they have as well. I know some people think I'm being too optimistic with that prediction because the Bears defense last year was not really that good. But guys, if you look at the talent that Eberflus had to work with on previous Colts teams, he had the Colts as a top 10 defense basically every single season with similar and even in some situations less talent than Chicago Bears defense has right now. Okay, we have ballers in the secondary. We have guys like Jalen Johnson, highly prized rookies like Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker that we drafted pretty early in the draft that, really fit the mold of this Eberflus 4-3 scheme. And we also have pass rushers like, Adam Johns talked about, Al-Quadin Muhammad, Travis Gibson, Dominic Robinson, the rookie, who a lot of people are high on his potential. Okay, he was one of the steals of the draft according to a lot of draft websites. And obviously got Justin Jones and Kyrie's Tonga in the middle as well. So, man, this Bears D-line could be a lot better than people are giving them credit for. I think that, DT is definitely a position that is a little bit scary right now, right? Because we don't know if Kyrie's Tonga will take that next step. We don't know if Justin Jones is good enough to be the 3 technique in this defense. We were hoping to sign, Larry Ogunjobi in the offseason. That was like our major signing of the offseason, but that never happened because he had an injury that we were not aware of, and he failed his physical. But I still feel like the Bears have enough talent on the D-line to have a pretty capable pass rush. Keep in mind, Robert Quinn is still on the roster, okay? He still wants to be a part of the Bears this year, according to reports. Ryan Poles also talked about how he wants to keep Robert Quinn going to this year, even though, maybe he took some trade calls on him in the offseason. But whatever the situation is, guys, we could have a pretty strong D-line this year. And on the flip side, though, guys, not great for the Chicago Bears offensive line. Our offensive line has a crazy amount of question marks on it right now. We do have some proven veterans like Schofield, Riley Reeve, who are both playing with the first team here and there today that could be average probably at the very best, right? But aside from those two and Cody Whitehair, what else is going to be on our O-line right now? Lucas Patrick is out for a while, so we probably are going to have Doug Kramer or Sam Mustipher at center, which I'm a little bit scared of. And then right tackle is probably only going to be, Larry Borum or Braxton Jones now because we're trading Teven Jenkins most likely. So you can choose to look at it either way, either be happy that our defense did good or be sad that our offense did bad. But regardless, guys, it's only one day of practice. So I always see people freaking out on Twitter about this stuff. Like, oh, is our offense going to absolutely suck again? Same old Chicago Bears defense better than the offense. This basically happens to every team at training camp. Like, the defense is pretty much always ahead of the offense in the early stages. It's only been 5 days of practice. We have a brand new receiving core, brand new offensive line, brand new system we're trying to install. So obviously it's not good that our offense has been struggling right now, but it's hardly the end of the world, okay? So relax, Bears fans. There's still a lot of football to be played. But getting to the next report of the day now. So talking about some offense, guys. According to Carmen Vitale, the play of the day today was a throw and catch from Justin Fields to Kari Blasingame. So according to her, throwing catch of the day had to be Fields launching it down the left sideline where fullback Kari Blasingame had escaped, probably given the fact no one anticipated a fullback being that far downfield and dove for the catch. Teammates went wild. Love to hear this because the day that I went, Kari Blasingame had 2 really bad drops. Okay, drops where he was completely wide open with nobody in front of him, just flat out dropped the ball. But it seems like today he had a pretty fantastic diving catch. So he's a fullback, so people won't talk about him that much. As a receiver, at least, he will be used a lot as a blocker in this offense, obviously, because this type of offense, the Shanahan type of scheme, it does require a fullback every so often to block in certain packages. So we could see Blasingame make this roster and being used decent amount, but probably won't be catching many passes. Hopefully, right? You don't want your fullback to be your main playmaker on the offense in the pass catching department, but good to hear that he had a solid day catching the ball, or at least had one good catch, because earlier on he looked pretty rough catching the football. So that was the play of the day. Aside from that, I heard that Darnell Mooney had some pretty nice catches from Justin Fields as well, which that's no surprise at all because that's going to be the #1 receiver on the Chicago Bears offense this year, and he already has a pretty strong connection with quarterback Justin Fields. But getting to the next story of the day now. So in an interview, Matt Eberflus talked about his risk tolerance headed into this season. So according to Adam Hoke, he was asked about his risk tolerance and he joked, "I'm going for every first down. We're never going to punt." He then said it will depend on field position, analytics, etc. But he did say he's a risk taker by nature. I feel like that's a pretty important quote to talk about because when people think of an older defensive minded coach, they don't usually think about a guy that's a risk taker, okay? They think about a conservative guy that wants to play good defense, run the ball, and punt it on 4th down, okay? And play the game the right way, okay? The way it's supposed to be played. But nowadays, more than ever, people are going for it on 4th down, even though it's risky because sometimes the analytics say that you have to go for it, and a lot of times it does end up working out for teams. But it'll be interesting to see how Matt Eberflus balances, his old school mentality with this new analytical approach that a lot of teams are employing in the NFL nowadays. So we'll see what happens with the regular season starts. I'm sure we'll see him go for it on 4th down, decent amount, but hopefully not too much to the point where it's negatively impacting our team. But I do like a risk-taking coach because you need to take risks to win big in the NFL nowadays. But getting to the last story of the day, an injury report on a cornerback. So Matt Eberflus said that cornerback Thomas Graham Jr. is dealing with a hamstring injury and will be out for a little while. They got some news this morning that indicates he will not be back soon. So that really sucks, guys. A member of the secondary going down. Thomas Graham Jr. was probably not going to be a starter this year, but he was at the very least fantastic depth. And he's only going to be out for a couple weeks, so it's not really a big deal. But you want a young guy like this to practice because he hasn't had many reps so far in the Chicago Bears uniform. Okay, last year he was on practice squad for some reason, even though he played pretty well for the Chicago Bears going down the road when he was actually in the lineup. So we'll see what happens with Thomas Graham. Hopefully he returns to the Chicago Bears lineup relatively soon and gets a chance to fight, for a spot on this roster. But that's basically all the news I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be back again tomorrow with some more Bears news. Enjoy your night, guys, and as always, bear down.